Wow. Hey, what's up, Buckers? I'm joined tonight by a very special guest, Mark. Mark, why don't you tell everybody where you're from, how we met
Well,
you here?
I live in Frederick, Maryland right now, but I'm a Pittsburgh guy through and through. You can call me a Yinzer if you want to, and I'll take that as a compliment. Yes, I am down with the Pens. Always have been, always will be.
All righty. And as always, I'm Reckless. Adam got called into work, so me and Mark are going to talk some playoffs, and then I do have a video if I can figure out how to upload it that Adam and I put together last night. So let's start here on the East Coast. Panthers Rangers tied 1-1 going into the intermission here. Series is tied 2-2. Panthers definitely look like the stronger team of the bunch right now.
Absolutely.
Shesterkin is just I don't know how you beat the guy right now. I really, really don't know how you beat him.
Shesterkin or Bobrovsky?
Shesterkin.
Ah,
I don't know how you beat Shesterkin. The Rangers should be out of it. Like, should have already been eliminated. Outside, it should be 3-1. But Shesterkin's just. I told my buddy Chris, I'm like, hey, if your Rangers win, there's only one name that belongs on that Stanley Cup, and it's Igor Shesterkin. Like Mika Zibanejad has been nowhere. He had an assist. He's got an assist in 4 games in this series. He's been invisible.
Kreider just got his first goal.
Yeah, the two big names. Yeah, big names, invisible.
Yeah.
Shesterkin's hanging him in there, and I don't know how he does it. I hate to say this because I'm a Devils fan, but Igor might be the best goalie on the planet right now.
He probably is. But Bob is playing great hockey too, though. I mean,
Bob's in a mode we haven't seen in 10 years from him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I agree with you about Shesterkin. In fact, when I was just kind of prepping to do the show, one of the things I wrote down was Shesterkin's the man. Like, I literally wrote down Shesterkin's the man, and it's hard for me to say that as a Penguin fan. But being in the same conference as him, it's hard for me to say that. But he's playing out of his mind, and I didn't realize how young that defense is for them. I mean, like, their 2 oldest defensemen are 26 years old, and Fox and who's the guy who plays with Fox? I think it.
Crap. Yeah, I'm blanking now too.
Yeah, but they're
put me on the spot.
Those are their grandfathers of their defense. So, but on the other side of that coin, because they're not getting shit out of the other forwards, Zibanejad, like we said, even Panarin. Where's Panarin been?
Yeah, I haven't heard nowhere.
It's
absolutely nowhere.
Lafreniere is the one who's actually finally producing for them. Their number 1 overall pick just a few years ago is finally producing for them. So they've got to be happy about that.
I called that a few years back that Lafreniere was going to be a problem for every other team. If he'd gotten anywhere besides New York, he'd have done it faster. You're under a microscope there. New York, Toronto, Montreal, you're under a microscope.
Yeah, 100%.
He'd have had better luck if he landed in Jersey, if he landed in Pittsburgh. Just thinking like that metro area. I mean, he'd have had he'd have been better faster. Philly's probably another hard one. You're kind of under a microscope no matter what sport you play in Philly.
Yeah.
And I live, I just was telling you, I live in Easton. I live literally the exact halfway point between New York City and Philadelphia.
That must be fun.
Well, I mean, it's really a strange dynamic here because it's, if you're on the New Jersey side of the bridge, which is about 1.2 miles from my house.
Is that Peterborough?
Yes, that is Phillipsburg. We got some comments here. Playoff hockey, scoring up and down the lineup. Hot goalies are a bad factor with scoring up and down. Here we go. There's one. Miller plays with Fox, Kevin said.
Oh, that's right. Miller. Yep. And he's 24. 24? Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, they're both young guys.
It's insane.
I think Fox is second only to Quinn Hughes as the best young defenseman in the league. Luke Hughes is on his way though.
McCarr?
I still think McCarr's on. You know, you got your Mount Rushmore, of the young D-men. Yeah, McCarr's up there, and so is Miro Heiskanen. But you know, Luke Hughes is hot on their heels. You see what he did at the IHF Worlds?
No, I didn't.
Third fastest speed recorded at the Men's World Championship by 19-year-old Luke Hughes. It was like 25 miles an hour. Like, it was ridiculous.
I don't know what the hell their parents are feeding the Hughes boys, but my God,
no,
I'd like a little something. Give my kid because my kid's 14 playing hockey.
Oh, nice. It's always a good sport to play. I played my whole life. Played all the way through college. I thoroughly love this sport. But back to you know, Panthers and Rangers here. I'm loving PK Subban's suit tonight. By the way, if you guys haven't turned the game on, he's got a killer 3-piece suit on. Also, I'm not understanding the shorthanded goals. Kreider's only scoring shorthanded. I mean, I know they did it to Carolina, shut down that power play. But is the Rangers penalty kill really this good, or are they getting the bounces?
I kind of feel like they're getting the bounces because it wasn't this good. It really wasn't. And they were talking about how they had to tighten up, and that's what they've done. That's how they're getting some shorthanded goals. They tightened up, but it wasn't this good. I mean, their power play is on, you know, something to reckon with because they have so many top-notch guys that'll get in front of the net. But their penalty kill was not what it's showing up as right now.
Well, I mean, their penalty kill, what did Carolina have? Went 1 for 19 or 1 for 20 in that series? So the penalty kill obviously did good against Carolina. Carolina, granted, admittedly did not have a good power play all season long, but you know, 5% that's a little nuts. Scoring 1 out of every 5.
Listen. I understand what it's like to see a 5% power play. I watched it for an 82-game season in Pittsburgh, so it was brutal. And Gensel should have been a difference for them when they grabbed Gensel because he went in there and made plays. You know,
yeah, he did. He played well.
I think they had him on the second unit, though. They didn't want to bust up the first unit. I don't know if they moved him toward the end of the series, but like he's a sniper from that perspective. He'll get in front of the net. He'll grind it out. You know, he'll go to the high slot.
If memory serves, the way Carolina kind of did it is there wasn't really a number 1 or number 2 unit. It's whatever unit was playing hot that night got the lion's share of the minutes. But their entire power play disappeared that round, completely disappeared. And I know the Canes had a much harder first round matchup than the Rangers. For lack of a better phrase, Washington walked backwards into the playoffs. You know, everybody above them had to try to get themselves out of the playoffs for Washington to make themselves into the playoffs. And I made a joke about it on one of our early episodes. I was like, you know, the Rangers just got a first round bye.
Pretty much.
And that's, you know, they came in fresh. But that brings us to the Stars Oilers series. Getting a little chippy last night. Toward the end there, you see Sagan throwing punches. Not a normal guy you expect to be tossing gloves in guys' faces.
No, they got out of their rhythm, their structure of their offense, their structure, their defense. They got sucked into that world because the Oilers came out flying and they just scored and scored and scored. And that's the only way the Oilers, I feel like that's the only way they're going to beat them. Like they're going to have to outscore them early on because if Dallas wears them down, you know, really Dallas or Edmonton only has 4 guys that are scoring for them, to be honest.
I mean, McDavid's starting to wake up, and that's bad news for everybody if McDavid wakes up.
He's had every game he's had 2 points, they've won.
Yes. And so that's 2 games this series, 4 games last series, and 4 games the series before that. So he got like 26 points in the playoffs.
Yeah,
so far?
he leads the playoffs now. He officially leads the playoffs.
I know Draisaitl's got like 23 or 24 as well. The problem with the Oilers is always going to be the same problem the Oilers have had since McDavid's got there. The back end is a liability. Skinner's playing well, but I mean, I name their best defenseman.
Well, they Darnell Nurse, but they actually,
go.
they actually took out their top penalty killing defenseman, and they plugged in somebody who can move the puck better. Boucher, Boucher. They plugged him in because they wanted some offense out of that defense. The other guy they pulled out, I'm drawing a blank on his name. I literally did my homework on all this. I wanted to come prepped. They took him out because he wasn't producing anything, and Dallas was getting behind him. They were trying to dump and go get it, and they were getting behind him.
Well, I mean, Dallas is a weird study in unconventional team building. You look at the age gap between guys like Wyatt Robertson, the other young kid who's only like 2021. His name is now escaping me because I have to think of it on the spot. You look at the young kids, and then you look at Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin. Tyler Seguin won a Stanley Cup in Boston, and what was that, 2011?
Yeah.
Guy's been in the league 13, 14 years at this point.
That's hard to believe, don't you think?
It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to think. I'm 36 now. It just that series feels like it just happened.
Yeah.
I was 23 for that Vancouver Boston series, which I still feel bad for the world's best Twitter analyst. He deserved a cup. Roberto Luongo. Sorry, I was trying to think of his Twitter handle. Because his Twitter handle is even funnier. It's like Uncle Rico or something. It's something ridiculous.
He's out now, right? We haven't seen him for a long time.
He's been retired. He retired. Last place he played was Florida before they got Bobo.
That's right. He
went back to Florida. Yeah, he went back to Florida for a season or two. I really love Roberto Luongo. I know Vancouver fans probably blame him for not winning that Stanley Cup in 2011, but Tim Thomas was a brick wall. You had Zdeno Chara on that back end. That 2011 Boston Bruins team, I'm not sure we've seen a team that like had no quit like that since then. Because they weren't the best players. You're talking Marchand was a young kid at the time. Bergeron, before he retired, it's probably the best two-way center in the league at the time. Chara, obviously, even though the guy could barely skate, you're not really getting much past the dude because he's got to make one stride and he's already caught up to you. Favorite fact about him is he had to get the NHL to change the rules and give him an exemption so that he could have a stick that actually fit him.
Yeah.
He had to add a big old extension to the top of the
skates. Am I right?
I think he was 6'10" off skates. I think he was like 7'1" on
Can you imagine that coming down the ice?
Well, that's why. You remember? Who did he hit in Ottawa that he ended up getting criminal charges for?
It was Pacioretty. That was in Montreal.
Yeah. When it hit the stanchion, that's why they put the curved stanchion and the padding in for him now. They charged him with like negligent assault or something, and I'm like, what do you want the guy to do? He leaned on him. Yeah, like he didn't run him into the stanchion on purpose. He just was trying to get him off the puck.
Yep.
Like it wasn't a bad play. It's just when you're that big,
right? Pacioretty never said a word about it either. Like he never came at Chara saying, "Hey, look, that was bullshit. I can't believe you tried to hurt me like that." Never said a word about it. Those guys understood when they went against him what they were getting into. It wasn't like they didn't know.
No. You're going against a monster. The dude is just huge. Like his, I'm surprised he didn't get 25,000 elbowing calls just for skating next to somebody.
Right. Sure. Then you got a dude like Trouba who really isn't obnoxiously large, and all he wants to do is take somebody's head off with his elbow, and that just. I think that's got a lot to
do with the fact that in his earlier years, he kind of suffered from what I think PK Subban suffered from. Like basically, he slowed down prematurely. PK Subban slowed down when he turned like 31. Like
big time.
Yeah, he then he started throwing his knee out at people. What was that? That was the playoff series against. There wasn't even the playoffs, was it? It might have been the playoff series against the Rangers. They just threw his knee out sideways, took out one of their forwards for at least the rest of that game. But once he started slowing down, he started resorting. And the difference between PK and Jacob, I believe, is that PK recognized it was becoming a problem, and he was becoming a problem in the league. Where I think Jacob Trouba is like, this is just how I play now. I do think my buddy Chris was saying he thinks the Rangers are going to buy out Jacob Trouba.
Really? He's their captain.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they did that.
Right.
The Rangers kind of suffer from the same problems Toronto does. Their fan base is impatient and loud, realistically. I grew up in northern New Jersey. 2/3 of the people up there are Rangers fans. About a third of us are Devils fans. And you have some old Islanders holdouts who just hated New York City and hated the Rangers, so they rooted for the team on Long Island. Not a ton of them, but you do have some of them. And the Rangers fan base is, even if you go on Twitter, you go on Facebook in this region, they're the loudest. The Flyers are probably second loudest, mostly because they'll punch you in the face. But they're loud, and I think that that leads to management being impatient. And so you see teams move on from guys really fast. Trouba, honestly, I just don't see how the Rangers keep him. I think my buddy Chris is wrong. I don't think it'll be a buyout. I think they'll find somebody who will take that
in a
trade. Who will take him.
I think it'll be a team that needs some grit to get over the top, because you got plenty of teams out there. Your Jersey Devils, they need that grit to get over the top. I feel that's my impression of them. That would be a perfect fit for them. If he goes to somebody like Philly, he just fits right in with the rest of the goons there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's not a fit there. Another team we're talking about, that division, Carolina. They don't have any grit. Who's their tough ass? They don't have anybody that's gonna.
Brent Burns.
He's 300
he
years
was the
old.
Toughest. But he played great this year.
He does. Isn't that amazing?
He was the toughest guy on that roster, and he's not a tough guy. He's an offensive defenseman.
But I find it amazing that dudes hit like 35, 36, and they go to a whole nother level with their hockey playing. Like some of these guys they just take such good care of themselves today that they're going to be playing till they're in their early 40s.
Well, I'll give your team some credit. Sidney Crosby, look at him. He's still top 10 player in the league without a doubt. I'd take on the Devils tomorrow.
He had an amazing year that nobody talked about. Nobody talked about the year he had. It was just unbelievable. If you go look at his numbers, it's unreal what he did.
The rest of the team was the problem. Gino had a decent season, but
he did.
Gino's always going to have a decent season.
You want to know when they changed? They changed when they got rid of Gensel, because they brought in I'm drawing a blank on his name, but I absolutely love him. He reminds me of Chris Kunitz. They got him from Carolina. He's a gritty son of a gun. They got him for 2 more years. I can't think of his name right now. I'm having brain fart. But when they got rid of Gensel and they brought – hey, Schmitty. I know Schmitty. Who was the dude we got when we traded Gensel that came into Pittsburgh and was really rocking that power play in front of the net? Schmitty will tell us. But, I know we're not talking about that.
He says Bunting.
Yeah. Yep, Bunting. Yep.
It is.
Yep.
Where you go, Schmitty?
Dude, reckless. I was so shocked, because when they got rid of Gensel and what they got for him, I was like, wow, that doesn't feel like much. And then they start playing hockey. He merged with Crosby really well.
Well, the real issue there is were you guys going to be able to afford a new contract for Jake Gensel?
No, I just heard today. Check this out. I heard today Gensel wants something like $9 or $10 million for the next 9 years. And I did not realize this, but Gensel's getting ready to turn 30 years old going into next season. So can you imagine?
I think league max that he can sign is 8 years.
Yeah, that would be perfect for him. But still, can you imagine signing him to that contract at 30 years old?
I'll give him 10 for 4.
Yeah,
you want 10, exactly. I'll give you 10 for 4. Yeah. I'll give you 10 for 4. I'm not giving you 10 for 8.
The cap's going up. somebody can absorb that. The cap's going up. I get it. But, we're talking about free agents now. He would not be one of the guys I'm targeting if I'm Pittsburgh. They were talking about,
you guys got to get younger.
Yeah, they were talking about them circling back to him. I'd take a guy like Reinhardt before I'd take Gensel back. Reinhardt's going to be a free agent, and he's only 28 years old.
Oh, is he?
That's all he is.
I could have sworn he was older than that. Wow.
No, he's been around
I guess that makes sense. He's been around for about 10 years. He came to the league at 18.
Yeah.
That would be a great pickup for you guys.
How about this for a second or third line center, Monahan? He's only 29.
His play has dropped off the last 2 years, though.
But you take some of the onus off of him of being a top line center guy that you're counting on. I mean, he's only 29. I mean, I was looking through this.
Tyler Toffoli is a big one.
Jake DeBrusk. Would you take Jake DeBrusk?
I would love Jake DeBrusk at the right price. At the right price.
Hey, his last contract was only $4 million a year.
Right, but look at how he performed on it. He's going to want more than that. He's going to want, he's going to want that 6 to 7. And I mean, he kind of deserves it. Like the way he's played on both ends of the ice, he deserves to get paid. You blood, sweat, and tears, man. You put it in.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where somebody like Lindholm goes now. I mean, he's only 29 too. So, this July is going to be super fun. The big name I'm taking a look at right now, because I think he's the one who everybody's going to target the most. I said it a little earlier, is Tyler Toffoli. Yeah. Although I just posted it, there's like 8 different like close NHL sources that are like, he's going back to LA. LA's got the money. LA's on the rise. I'm like, that makes sense. He won a cup in LA against my Devils in 2012. He's familiar with that area. It's very clear the dude kind of likes it warm more than he likes it cold. Southern California, I mean, the taxes suck, but you can't really beat the weather and the beaches. Right. He's going to be 33 going into the season, though. He's 32 right now.
33 goals last season on a Devils team that he frankly my Devils without the injuries would have made the playoffs this year, without a doubt in my mind. Losing Dougie Hamilton was a death blow.
I definitely thought you guys were going to get in one of the top 2 seeds in our division. I had no doubt in my mind.
Dougie's the leader of that team, though, and I know Nico Hischier wears the C, and he is the de facto leader, but you could see the entire team was deflated the minute Dougie was out it was announced Dougie was out for the whole season. And then we lost Timo Meier for like 15 games, and then he played injured another 10.
Yeah,
that team.
That's a big signing for you too, though. You guys inked him.
I like him.
It'll be a great year for him next year. You watch. He'll get himself.
And we got him cheap. We got him cheap too.
Yeah.
It didn't cost us a ton to get him, but yeah, I think Tyler Toffoli is going to land back in LA. How he performs there, that's we'll have to wait and see. But I think that's the most logical landing spot for him. Schmitty says Devils are young and fast, but lack structure. That's all of that's on the fact we lost Bruno last year, Andrew Burnett, who the Devils very stupidly gave Lindy Ruff another contract instead of putting Lindy in the front office and letting Andrew be the head coach.
Why did they do that? Like, I don't understand why they
you know how hard it is to fire a guy when he led the team to the most successful regular season in franchise history?
Yeah, I get it, but still.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, the Penguins are still hanging their hat on Sullivan, who hasn't won a damn playoff game since they won the cup in 2017.
I mean, I like Sullivan. I do. I think the bigger problem is you guys are aging, and you guys didn't come to fix up the back end.
No, they picked up Carlson, and that was not the answer.
I didn't. That trade. Well, actually, you know what? Yeah, let's go there. That trade. In my lifetime, I have not seen a trade that I understood less.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense because you already had Letang. You had the same
They,
guy.
like,
What they thinking?
you had the same. Well, they thought they were going to get a second Letang and be able to, all it did was handcuff that roster. What did they pay him?
11
They paid him.
million.
Oh yeah, for how many years? 3 more.
I think 3 more. Yeah, I won't be
Like,
surprised if Dubas tries to hang him out there and move him. I will not be surprised. And I'm hearing that Ottawa is interested in bringing him back to end his career in Ottawa. He was a mainstay. He was the face of that organization that they got rid of because they knew they were going nowhere, even though they had him, and they got a lot of pieces of the puzzle to help rebuild when they got rid of him. Now they've got those guys sitting there. That's a young, fast team right there. That's a young, fast, physical team too.
yeah, led by Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, and you bring a guy like Carlson in to stand pat on the blue line and bring you some offense from that perspective and power play quarterback, like that could change the dynamics. I didn't understand why they went and got the defenseman from Arizona. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Come on, help me here.
Ekman Larson?
Yeah, no, not Ekman Larson.
No, the other one.
Come on, Schmitty.
Only other good defenseman that's been in Arizona in the last 20 years.
Shit, I can't think of his name right now.
That said, you know who actually might chase Carlson, and you guys would probably get the most for it.
Who?
Name a person on that Utah franchise who could be, because they're a brand new franchise. They need a face. They need a star. They need like Marc-Andre Fleury going to Vegas. They need a face to put on a billboard that people are going to come see because they've seen him on ESPN.
Oh, Mitch Marner's going to be that face.
I mean, you agree.
Yep,
Me and you agree.
Mitch
I
Marner's
said
that face.
I said the most logical spot, but Mitch Marner has control here. He gave his 9 teams. I think the dark horse on this one is Vancouver because Vancouver's young, win now, and has cap space. I think that is the dark horse to land Marner. But what can Vancouver give up without handcuffing themselves? Is the bigger question.
Yeah, there's not a lot left. I mean, they'd win that Edmonton series if they don't lose Bozer.
Yeah, Brock Besser. That's it. And that's the other thing. If Besser's on LTIR to start next season because of that blood clot issue, that now you have
lots of money.
You got lots of money to spend.
Yeah.
In fact, if Besser's out, they might need to spend money just to get to the cap floor. I'd have to look at it, but I know Besser's like $6-7 million, and I know they had like another 8 or 10 in cap space that they could afford a guy like Mitch Marner. Now the big question is Mitch Marner going to perform when he's taken away from Austin Matthews?
Okay, so here's my premonition on Marner. He's in Toronto, number one. That is huge from that perspective. He's in Toronto. Number two, I think he wants to be the face of a franchise because he can perform. He can make somebody else. And I think if you move him to a Vancouver where he has somebody to dish the puck to, I think if you move him to Utah where you can put somebody to skate with him, he becomes that man that he needs to be. The only problem is he never performs in the playoff, or at least he didn't in Toronto. It'll be yet to be seen what he does when he goes somewhere else.
In fairness, Toronto hasn't performed in the playoffs since the 60s. I mean, yes and no. They had some great series against my New Jersey Devils. We came out on top, I think, 4 out of the 5 times they played in the playoffs when it was Ty Domi versus Scott Stevens. And Ty Domi took a run at Scott Niedermayer, and Scott Stevens tried to rip the door off the penalty box because he was in the penalty box. And then I forget who Scott Stevens took out, but there's it was a very clean check, dead center to somebody's chest, and he just looked over at the Toronto bench, pointed at Ty Domi, and goes, "You're next." Great moment in hockey.
I love Stevens' game. He was so tough. I got a good story for you since you're a Devils fan. Back in the day, this is many, many thousands of moons ago, I used to collect autographs, and I was in my early 20s, still a single guy, just drinking beer and doing my thing. And my buddy and I were in Pittsburgh at the Civic Arena. The Devils were in town. We wanted to get
That's the old Igloo, right?
Yeah, at the Igloo. We wanted to get Brodeur as he was coming up the street because these guys walked up from the hotel. We see Brodeur walking up, and my buddy and I walk up to him. He's he's pretty far from the Igloo. We're like, hey, Marty, you mind signing an autograph? He's like, no, I'll sign for you. Just walk up with me. I don't feel like walking by myself. He starts bullshitting with us, and my buddy had these really nice sunglasses on. And he looks at me, he's like, oh, man, those are awesome glasses. Where do you get those at? I don't even remember the whole conversation. He ends up grabbing my buddy's glasses, wearing them up to the arena. He goes, here you go. He signs a bunch of shit for us. He was the nicest guy. Nicest guy.
So I got a Marty story, and this is well into his career. I met Marty the first couple of times at South Mountain Arena in, I forget the name of the town in New Jersey, but it's right in front of the Turtleback Zoo. And the Devils used to practice there, and the practices were open practices. Nowadays, they're too popular. But, it used to be me and like 15 other kids and a bunch of sets of parents who were going to go ice skating later. But because the Devils were having a practice, we all sat in the bleachers at the back rink in South Mountain Arena. Met Marty a couple of times that way. Met Randy McKay. He was actually probably my favorite one I ever met. I was probably, this has to be 1990. This has got to be the lead into the cup run. This has to be like 95, right after the lockout ended.
Okay.
I remember Randy he got a stinger to like the inside of the knee, the inside of the thigh, somewhere in his leg, and was just going to see the trainer. And I ran out of the bleachers as fast as I could to get him to sign my Devils jersey. And the one trainer tried to stop me, and Randy goes, no, let him. He's a kid. Seriously? Here, buddy. But then I met Marty the second time. Well, not the second time, but the most memorable time I met Marty. You remember Jacques Caron, the Devils former goaltending coach? So the Devils hosted a Jacques Caron night after he retired. Marty at the time was still playing for the Devils, but he was injured. And so he was in the suite for Jacques Caron night. That I still had season tickets at the time. That night happened to be the night the Devils did ice cream social night for season ticket holders. So it was me and like 24 other, not 24, it's probably like 15 to 20 people in a suite, and they're just brought in an ice cream bar and a bunch of soda. But I was sitting, there's a little divider in Prudential Center. I was sitting at the edge, so I'm like, I like this. I just put my arm on this, kind of lean over, and like 20 minutes later, I kind of look over and I'm like, and this guy looks at me and he goes, and I'm like, fucking Marty Brodeur sitting next to me in the suite next to me. So me and him spent like a good 35, 40 minutes because our kids are roughly the same age. His youngest is about the same age as my oldest. I think his youngest is 16. My oldest is 14. And we're just sitting there BSing about how much of a pain in the ass it is to be a dad. And he gets up and he goes, you want me to sign anything for you? I'm like, I don't got a marker. Can I just get a picture, man? And he goes, yeah. So I got my picture with Marty and got to spend a good 35 minutes having a conversation with this dude who to this day, extremely down to earth.
My favorite thing about hockey players is that, looks like Florida just scored.
Well, you must be a second ahead of me.
Yep, Florida just scored.
Well, here it comes.
Looks like Lindholm. Yep.
There it goes.
I just feel like hockey dudes are just so normal. Like I think that they're just down to earth guys. The only guy I ever met was
except goalies. Goalies are fucking crazy.
They're a little bit nuts. We also met Patrick Waugh, and I really liked him. He was a cool guy too. We actually just bumped into him by accident in a Dunkin' Donut in Pittsburgh, and we walked up to the arena.
I have never met Patty. I've heard he's a character though.
He is. He was pretty interesting to talk to, but. Like, the only guy I ever met that was a real dick was Mark Messier. He was a dick.
Really?
He was a jerk to all the kids. Like, you want to be a jerk to me? I was like maybe 23, whatever. Okay, I get it. That's fine. Okay. But the kids, he was a jerk to them. And he came out of the hotel.
Was he still playing at the time?
Oh, yeah. He was with Brian Leach. He was on the Rangers at the time. He was with Leach coming out of the hotel, and Leach just kind of looked at him. Kids were asking him to sign, and he's like, "Get away from me! Get away from me!" And he got into a cab.
Maybe it was a bad day for him.
He just came out of the hotel. He was upstairs sleeping or doing whatever he was doing, and Leach looked at him, and he was like, "What? Wait, really? And he's like, come on, let's go. I got this cab. And Leach is like, go ahead, I'll get another cab. He stood there and signed for everybody that was standing there. It was amazing.
The reaction from Leach would tell me that was probably out of character for Messier at the time. That Messier might have just been having just gotten a fight with his wife or some shit and was just like, I fucking hate everybody. Well, like Leach going, you go ahead, and giving him that weird look that tells me there might be more to the story that nobody knew.
Well, Paul Stewart was on my podcast probably a couple of years ago now. Paul Stewart is such a character himself. He loves that Messier family. He spent a lot of time with them when he was a lot younger. He had the hots for the Messier sister. He said, I didn't know you guys had a sister who looked this good. And he was telling me this story. I was laughing like hell at him. He was a cool guy. I loved him.
Well, if anybody out there in the world, I've been trying to email Kyle Palmieri with the contact information I had from when he was in New Jersey because he does the Squad 21, which is now the Kyle Palmieri Foundation, does a lot of good work for the veterans. Just trying to get him on the podcast, talk about his charity a little bit. So if anybody out there, feel free to just tag him on Facebook and Instagram. See if I can't get an answer. But he's another one that I've met a few times. The Devils. I don't know if you've ever been to the Prudential Center.
I have not for a game. No.
So the Devils, the back entrance that's the closest one to Broad Street in Newark, is where the players' parking lot is. And if you go after games, 9 times out of 10. 2/3 of the players are stopping and signing autographs for you. Unless the Devils got blown out, then it's normally they're like one or two of the younger guys will stop and sign, and the rest are too angry at themselves to stop and sign. But that's kind of what I miss about 20 years ago when I lived in Columbus. Actually, it's more than 20 at this point. Holy crap, I'm old. When the Blue Jackets first came to town, when I go visit my mom when she was living in Columbus. There was you could stand in the players' parking lot and they just walk right past you, like you were talking about the hotel in Pittsburgh. Those days are gone, obviously for safety reasons. It makes sense. But hockey players in general have always been more accessible. Yes. But back to Marner, where else do you think he could land? So you're saying Utah is your number one.
I think Utah definitely. Where else did I have? I had like 6 places that I wrote down. Let me see. The Blackhawks.
That's all right.
I think see the Blackhawks.
What are they going to give up for him, though?
I'm not sure.
They need those draft picks to build around Bedard.
Yeah.
Or else they're going to be in the exact same position that the Oilers were in up until this year.
How about the Blues?
I like that one. It's a mid-major city. He won't have the exact same pressure that he has in Toronto. They don't have a lot of pieces there, though. He'd be like you're being brought in as the beginning of us building back to that Craig Berube year where they won the cup.
Yeah.
What about the other one I brought up with Adam? Columbus was.
I had that down. That was my next one. I had Columbus. They are not high on Johnny Hockey there.
What you did? Did you see what has happened to his ability to score and produce any points?
He's in Columbus. Yeah.
Well, playing next to Matthew Tkachuk kind of helps your numbers a little bit. But he's playing, next to Patrick Laine. There's absolutely no reason he shouldn't be producing there.
Right.
I think, in all honesty, I think it's mental. I think he's not happy there. I think he thinks he made a mistake, which, Devils fans all called it. Like, hey, man, you kind of spurned us and went there. Like, you could have been playing with Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, Timo Meyer. Like, you could have Dougie Hamilton on the back end. And instead, you're playing with Patrick Laine, and that's about it because Columbus is, rebuilding yet again.
Yeah, I know.
I wish the Blue Jackets nothing but the best. I love that city of Columbus. It's one of my favorite places I ever lived. I went to school at Ohio State. I love Columbus. But yeah, he him going to Philly or New Jersey would have been smarter for his career. You would have, outside of line, Columbus really doesn't have much there to help him.
And they're not happy with him. Weren't they benching him throughout the year?
He was sat down a few times, a few games where he, he looked disinterested in like just being there. Excuse me. I like Johnny Gaudreau. I think that he is like a Marty St. Louis type player in the right situation. I just think he's extremely unhappy. That could be one, a piece headed back to Toronto, but how much is Toronto going to value Johnny Gaudreau in that contract right now?
I think at the end of the day, Toronto needs to look at what they're missing besides skill guys that would push them over the top and beating someone like Boston, who just kind of outmuscles them at the end of the day. They haven't beat
Boston in like 54 years, I think the stat was.
Yeah, something crazy like that. I think they gotta realize that they need something a little different. You keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's the definition of being insane. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's got a little bit more to do with they need a sports psychologist in there, because the minute Toronto faces Boston, even when they're get off my computer, even when Toronto is significantly better than Boston, they can't get it done. They, somehow Boston just has their number. It's I hate to put it this way, but it's like, my Devils with the Carolina Hurricanes about 15 years ago. We couldn't get past them at all. It was that we had the lead, and we had a 1 or 2 goal lead, and there was like a minute and 30 seconds left, and Carolina scored 2 or 3 goals in a minute and 30 seconds. Like, it was in a game 7 in New Jersey. I forget what year that was. I think it was the year I came home from Iraq, so that would be 2010, 2009, somewhere in that time frame.
I think that's another team talking about somebody who needs to revamp and realize that they don't have what it takes to get over the hump. I think Carolina needs to do that as well. I think you're going to see a big change in Tampa. They got to do something.
I agree there. I think
aging.
Stammer's gone. I think Stammer's gone.
He's free agent. He's 34.
Yeah, where he lands, it's gonna be a team that's win now. I'm sure he wants another ring. And more power to him. He's one of the greatest goal scorers to ever play the game. I'd like to see him, and because I think it would just be good for him personally. He's a Toronto born and raised kid, but he really likes not paying state income tax. So I'd like to see him go to Toronto on a sweetheart deal. Like, Steve, you've made about as much money as you can make doing the sport. Go home, go play for your hometown team. If he doesn't go there, I think he's born and raised in Toronto, a Toronto suburb. I don't know which one. It might be Hamilton. I forget which one, but he's like John Tavares, like slept in those Toronto bed sheets and Toronto Maple Leaf pajamas.
You think he's
Phantom Menace figurines behind him?
You think he's the consolation prize if you don't get Marner in a trade?
Stamkos?
Yeah.
If you're not able to land him, he's the one you chase. But again, my gut says he goes to Toronto, and he plays 2 more seasons in Toronto.
I was just going to say 2-year deal,
and then I think he calls it quits and moves back to Florida and is the official voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think him and his wife love it down there. They're also able to be relatively anonymous in Tampa.
Aren't all major athletes? Aren't all major athletes for the most part Marlins, Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning.
In Florida, yeah, I mean, the Orlando Magic is pretty popular. The Miami Heat are really popular. My mom lives in Sarasota, so I've gotten to go to 2 or 3 Lightning games in that building, and even the regular season games there—they're pretty packed, believe it or not. You wouldn't really expect it, but yeah, like the last game I went to was like a Tuesday night game at like 7 p.m. and people were out. So the arena is right next to the waterfront in Tampa. And there's a really cool restaurant right next door. So if you ever get yourself down to Tampa, I highly recommend checking out a game. Where else do you get to watch hockey in 80-degree weather?
Yeah, true.
And the whole outside area packed with people drinking, having like the fan fest type of thing. I don't know if the Penguins do that, but the Devils do a big fan fest out in Championship Plaza in Newark when the weather gets nice out. But yeah, no, it was packed. Like the building was packed, and like honestly, for pardon the pun, it was pretty electric in there.
I'll bet.
I think that's a one of those teams and destinations people discount because it's not a traditional hockey market.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see him going to Miami. I couldn't see him playing for the Panthers. I mean, I'm sure everybody who's listening now has watched at least one of the Rangers-Panthers games in Florida and realized that there's more Rangers fans there than Panthers fans. But is what it is. They make it work. They make it work there, which is kind of funny. Most of their the profits come from the ownership of the building, and it's like the 3rd most popular concert venue in the country or on the planet or something.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
They really don't need the Panthers to make a penny. Another team, I think, for Marner, Schmidt's saying Carolina, their biggest issues, they don't have a clear number 1 guy. Lots of number 2s and 3s. That's fair, Schmidt. Better question here, though, is
what are they going to give up?
That and name the number 1 guy in the 1995 Devils or the 2000 Devils. There wasn't one. It was a team of, Patrick Elias. That's your number 1 guy. He wouldn't have been a number 1 guy on most rosters at the time. But the rest of the team was solid start to finish. And when you got Marty backstopping you, and Scott Stevens, Scott Niedermayer, Brian Rafalski was there in 2000. Bruce Driver was there in 95. Ken Danica was there for all 3. And you have those guys, and you don't ever have to worry about the defense. You're going to have some success.
The back end.
Another spot for Marner that I didn't think of. Nashville. Nashville's got cap space. Nashville's a fun city. Marner's, 28, 29, something like that. He's still pretty young.
Yeah.
So that might be, and the state income tax is basically nothing there. So, that might be an attractive spot for him. I'm just trying to figure out how he came up with 9 teams that he's willing to go to. Did he just take a dartboard and throw darts at it?
Well, it's fun in Nashville. I think I want to go there. They have some cash. They'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you just said it. He's a kid, man. He's like 27, 28 years old. He's a kid.
Yeah.
Remember being 27, 28? I was drunk most of the time.
It was like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I won't tell you how many years ago it was for me, brother.
Pittsburgh, you guys don't have the cap space to pull that off. Philly,
but you know what we have? Oh, that's it. Philly, Florida just scored again. Empty net goal. Does Florida go home and win this?
I hope so. I'm tired of watching the Rangers in the playoffs. I did predict Florida in 6 when me and Adam first did our playoff predictions on this round. It's gonna be weird to see your boy Laviolette lose. Oh no, you guys were Bilesma. Laviolette was Philly.
Yeah.
Bilesma, speaking of which, first NHL coaching gig in what, 7-8 years now?
Yeah, he was in Buffalo, and then that was it, right? He left. He got
He
fired
was,
up in Buffalo.
and he was coaching in the AHL.
Yeah, yeah, out west
Um,
at San Diego Gulls. Am I right?
I
Was he
think
with
that
the?
was it. I think that was it. I think it was the Gulls. I don't
Yeah,
follow the AHL as close as I should. The Devils do have some guys coming up through the AHL, mostly goalie prospects, which, thank God. Um, Also, my favorite stat of the Devils season is, had they gotten the league average goaltending, the estimate is they would have won 15 more games.
yeah. Boy,
They got like 85% save percentage.
we don't even want to go down that lane because with Pittsburgh, the guy they brought in from Detroit, their third goalie in Detroit or whatever the hell he was. Oh, Coachella, you're right, Smitty. He's in Coachella. That's right. He lost to the Bears in the finals last season. Exactly.
The Hershey Bears.
Yeah, but the Penguins, they were playing some dude who was making $1 million because Tristan Jarry's brain is like scrambled eggs. They just
Yeah, who was the other one you guys had a couple years ago that
Matt
kind of took
Murray.
over for Fleury? Yeah,
Matt
whatever
Murray.
happened to him? I liked
So
him.
he got traded to Toronto, and then
Mhm.
no wait, he got traded to Ottawa, and then he ended up in Toronto.
So they tanked his career by sending him to the worst team in the league at the time. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and he went to Toronto, and he had a bunch of different issues that he set out. I want to say this year he played in Dallas. I want to say, I'm not 100% sure. As a backup, maybe. Again, I'm not 100% sure.
He would have to be like the third guy there then, because Otto and forget the other one.
Yeah, Ned was the guy. I was trying to think of his
Yeah.
name in Pittsburgh. Man, my brain is fried tonight. Ned was the guy that played in Pittsburgh this year, ended up beating out Jari. But going back to Murray, man, he was never the same guy after his father passed away, unfortunately. His dad passed away when he was in Pittsburgh. It was pretty early in the season. He took a leave of absence. I want to say he was gone for like 2 weeks almost. And he came back and he was run out of Toronto. Yeah, definitely. But at the end of the day, I feel for that guy. He won 2 Stanley Cups with the Penguins. One of them, basically, he was the star, and the other one, him and Fleury, carried that team to it. But I mean, that such is the NHL, especially for goalies, like we talked about.
Yeah, no, since you brought up Fleury, he might be my Rangers just brought it down to 1 goal with about a minute left. It ain't over.
Lafreniere, high slot.
You can't leave him alone. Leave him alone up there. You can't. You couldn't. I'm not an NHL player. I played high level college hockey. I played junior A hockey, but even on an NHL rink, you couldn't leave me alone like that with that much friggin' space.
He hit it off the handle. He hit it off the handle of Bob's stick.
Oh wow! Yeah, I just saw that. That was actually Zibanejad. Mika scored that.
Oh shit!
Oh no! It's Lafreniere. Oh, they're gonna review that. That looks like a kick. Nope, they're not gonna review it.
Nope, they dropped the puck already.
Yeah, deflected. Well, probably like
they are.
It'll get changed.
Interesting.
It'll get changed. That definitely hit off the inside of Lafreniere's skate. But I mean, even like look at this game. Like Shesterkin's played well. They've peppered him, and like they're technically not out of it.
I agree.
Like they could, and they're not out of the series. They could turn around and win in 2 days, and then they're coming back to there. It is. Yep, nice. That's for all you kids out there watching. That is how you redirect a puck with your skate and don't get the goal called off.
Yep,
that was beautiful. Just
his eyes
little turn of the skate. Just a little turn of the skate. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful redirection there.
His eyes were somewhere else. That's how you know he wasn't using his skate.
Yeah. What do you think about what do you think is going to happen the rest of the way for the Stars Oilers?
I do think that the Stars will rebound when they go back to Dallas. Now, remember, Dallas has a last change. Dallas has home ice. I mean, they got to play 3 games. I would not be surprised. It's over. Florida won. I would not be surprised if it definitely goes 7 games. I like Dallas though. I'm sorry, I
I
like
said it.
Dallas.
I said the same thing when me and Adam did our preview of this series. I was like, this seems to me like one of those games where the home team wins nearly every game, if not every game.
I'll tell you what, Reckless. It's not the series that the NHL wants, though. The NHL wants to see the Rangers in Edmonton because they want McJesus against the biggest market, and that's not going to happen in hockey.
No, I honestly don't think it will. I think the Rangers losing at home here. I think that kind of put one of the nails in the coffin for the Rangers. In all honesty, Zibanejad has disappeared. Panarin has disappeared. Adam Fox is skating on one leg.
Kreider,
like Chris Kreider. Chris Kreider's been a bright spot, sort of. He's scoring some he's scoring some shorthanded goals. He's getting in people's heads. He's doing what he did 10, 15 years ago when he first came in the league. Actually, it shouldn't be 15 because he's only 31. So yeah, he came in. Was he 19 out of Boston College the year he came in? 2012.
Yep.
Because he came into the playoffs. Too. It's been 12 years. That's not exactly a short amount of time.
Yep.
All of it with the same team. Excuse me. I think that we got to figure out before we go. I think there's 4 other teams that we got to figure out for Marner that are actually distinct possibilities. I don't think the Rangers on any planet are going to be able to afford him. Even if they dump Trouba, I think the Rangers are going to have to hold some salary. They can't buy him out.
How about a team like San Jose? How about a team like San Jose or Anaheim? He'd be. They have something to give up in Anaheim with Zegras.
Right, but he'd be the only thing there. Do you think he's willing to go from playing with Austin Matthews, being in the playoffs every season, to go into a bottom feeder? I mean, it is Southern California. I mean, it is.
It depends.
San Jose is the Bay Area.
It depends what his MO is, my friend. It depends what his MO is. If he wants money, and
I think he wants to win. I think he wants to win.
He's going to have to. He's going to have to make some consolations. Then he's going to have to be willing to put himself in a position where he can maybe restructure so that he can get under somebody's cap of a winner. Most winners.
NHL restructuring really doesn't happen very often.
No,
I honestly couldn't tell you the last time I saw an NHL contract restructured at I'm 36. I can't think of outside of Marty Brodeur and Scott Niedermayer taking deals for less than they were worth when their contracts ran out. I can't think of anything the NFL. You get guys restructure every season all the time. I can't think in the NHL.
The only way I see him ending up on the Rangers is if the Rangers move on from Capo Caco and somebody else, one of those young defensemen. That's what's going to have to attract Toronto, because then you get some goal scoring back with Caco, and you get somebody on the back end, which, let's face it, Toronto always needs somebody on the back end. They really. Yeah,
I know. Morgan Riley can't do it all by himself.
No.
That. I like the San Jose thought. LA might have enough money to bring in a guy like Marner if LA loses out on a guy like Toffoli. Who knows? Maybe they figure out a way to fit them both under the cap.
How about Calgary? That's a young and up and comer.
They did outperform expectations this year. I will give them that. That's still not. I could see it. I could see him maybe being willing to go to Calgary, but that's a big jump, man. Going from Toronto, the New York City of the Great White North, to Cattletown.
The thing is he willing to stay Does he want to stay in the Eastern Conference? Does he want to move to the Western Conference? That's the other piece. You know, it's a crapshoot with him right now because there's going to be so many pieces of the puzzle that move when free agency hits. It's not just going to be about some of these guys we talked about in free agency. I think you're going to see some trades. I think you're going to see some teams that were in the playoffs do 3-for-3 deals, 1-for-2 deals, just do some movement to change the dynamics and the chemistry of their teams because they can't get over the top. They're not going to change a core guy, but I think you'll see some guys who are fringe players get moved on and try and change the dynamics of a team like Carolina or somebody like that.
See, I am not a huge fan of just we didn't get it this year. We need to move on from things. I think Toronto's being I thought firing Sheldon Keefe was stupid. Guy's been there 3 years. He didn't win you a cup, so he's fired.
He's your guy now, though. He's your guy now. You should be happy.
I'm happy about it.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying it didn't make a ton of sense for Toronto to do what they did. Toronto, until, at least in my opinion, until Toronto learns to have 1 ounce of patience, they're going to struggle hard to overcome and get over that hump and end that cupless drought. Also, Ashton, if you're still watching, I told you Mavs in 5.
What's the score? Is it over?
Oh, it's over. It just ended 124 Dallas, 103 Minnesota.
Yeah, all you have to do is see who I think it was Charles Barkley, maybe. Whoever he picked, the opposite team won every game. I think it was Charles Barkley. Every game. That's funny. Just heard it today. Yep.
The round mound of rebounds.
Yep, that's him.
But yeah, Marner, 9 teams, that's a lot. That's a lot of teams. And also for his agent to put it out there, Toronto must have said something that pissed Marner off to no end. And just basically was like, all right, then trade me. And maybe it was the firing of Sheldon Keefe. Sheldon Keefe seemed to have those guys buzzing all year. And they just ran into, sometimes beating your biggest rival is not the easiest thing on the planet to do. And, you run into Boston, who you haven't beat since the 60s. In the playoffs, you haven't beat them since the 60s. Everybody's going to get in their heads on that. It's the big rivalry matchup. Everybody's going to be overthinking, sad to see Austin Matthews suffer through all that. Also sad to see the Phoenix Coyotes leave, so we never get to see Austin Matthews get to go home to Phoenix, Arizona, of all places.
Right.
But I think Utah, Vancouver are attractive for Marner. Look, what's his cap hit? I'll look it up real quick, actually, because that's going to be a big factor.
It's 9 or 10, I believe. I think. Let's see. What's it tell me here?
Also, RIP Cap Geek. $8 million.
Yeah. That's
oh wait, no! Holy crap!
No,
holy
10-9. He's almost $11 million.
$11 million. Holy crap!
Yep.
When's that run out? All right. So you're getting him for a year.
That's it.
Yeah, you're getting him for a year.
You better be going over the top in that year you have him because he's going to go out and demand more money.
Well, I think that kind of plays to whoever trades for him's plays into their hand. Like, hey, this guy's only under contract for a year. Like, I'm not giving you two first round picks and a roster player for a guy who's going to be out of, could just leave.
Oh, and by the way, how about eating some of this money?
I mean, exactly. Yeah. By the way, since, you made it public, you're moving on from him, you're going to eat some of this salary.
Yeah.
Which
reckless. At the end of the day, it could be a 3-way trade too. That's how Pittsburgh got That's how
that
Pittsburgh got Carlson.
but without Phoenix there, who else is going to weaponize, like just take somebody's cap hit for draft picks? There's no other team that I think is far enough away from the playoffs. And Utah is going to be in, we want to win. We're a new team. They're not going to be willing to do what Phoenix did and Arizona did for all those years, which was, take everybody's cap hit, but not have to pay any real money so that they could get to the cap floor. Because, when you only have 3,500 seats in a building, kind of hard to make any money.
Are we forgetting about a couple of teams here that are newest to the league? Vegas and Seattle. Could he end up on one of those teams?
Vegas doesn't have any cap space right now. So unless
that's why Riley Smith went to Pittsburgh.
So if you see maybe like a Mark Stone, deciding to hang him up. He's been injured a lot the last couple of years. His back isn't holding up. I'm sure he's going to want to be able to pick his kids up over the next 5 years. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Mark Stone just hang him up. He's had a great NHL career. He's got himself, a cup. If he retires, I could see it. Mitch Marner and Jack Eichel does sound like a very intriguing 1-2 punch. That would be, definitely something fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Outside of that, Seattle, maybe they got the space up there. Is Ronnie Francis still running that team up there?
Yes, he is.
I think that might be the guy who could convince Mitch Marner in a conversation. Like if Seattle wasn't on Mitch's, 9-team list, I think if there was one GM in the league who I wanted Ronnie Francis in New Jersey. He killed us all the damn time when he was in Carolina. He won 2 cups with you guys, right? In the 93, 90 or 92, 93 or 91, 92.
91, 92.
And he's just, he was a fantastic hockey player. First off, we'll start there. And just what he's been able to do, Vegas kind of set the mold, and then the NHL went, hey, we made you guys way too good, way too fast. We're going to back off on how we're doing this next time. So I think if there's anybody who could convince Mitch Marner to go to Seattle, where Seattle's not a bad team, they're not a great team. They're not like knocking on the door yet, but they're going to be a bubble team for the next couple of years. Bringing a guy like Marner in kind of maybe puts you a little bit over that bubble.
Absolutely.
Maybe that puts you into like your 6th seed and it's the playoffs, man. You never know what happens. Teams get hot. Look at, the 2012 Kings. They were the 8th seed in the West, and they just ran roughshod.
Think about it from this perspective too. You're shedding yourself almost $11 million if you're Toronto. And if you get some draft picks, maybe an NHL ready guy that's a marginal producer, maybe not a superstar, but you are shedding $11 million off of your payroll. You can go ahead and look in free agency at what could come in. That might be your gateway to get Stamkos at a hometown discount, and another 2 guys on top of that. If you get Stamkos at a hometown discount, that will help them to get to where they need to be.
Stammer's going to be what, 35, 36 this year?
He'll be 35.
So he's at the tail end of his career. He's probably got, if he's on the Gretzky plan, he's only got 1 year left. If he's on, the Messier Brodeur plan, he's got 4 or 5 years left.
Well, I agree with you. You said 2 years, sign him to a 2-year deal. I agree. He may not get the cup his first year there, but the second year, once he feels his oats there and understands the system and all that stuff, meshes in with those guys, I definitely think he would have a legit shot the second year.
Well, now here's the big question. Imagine that power play. Austin Matthews, John Tavares, Steve Stamkos. That's your number one power play forward line.
And then
how do you contend with that? John Tavares has been one of the best passers in the NHL for what, 12 years now?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
at least.
Absolutely.
Stamkos is one of the best shooters that the league's ever seen. Austin Matthews is, probably number 2 or 3, only to McDavid and Draisaitl right now in terms of best player in the NHL.
100%.
Although Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes are
They're
both
coming
kind of
quick.
nipping at their heels.
Yeah.
That's a bad. I'll say this about Jack. It's the only bad thing I'll ever say about Jack Hughes because I love the kid. He's been a fantastic addition in New Jersey, and he loves it here. And he pushed for Luke to get drafted here, which has turned dividends for us already. I wish he was like 4 inches taller. Jack is
He takes a beating.
He's just slightly undersized, and he just gets beat up. Kind of reminds me of Patty LaFontaine back in the day.
Oh my God!
Just slightly undersized. I hated Patty LaFontaine. I was a Devils fan when he was. I still am a Devils fan, but I remember seeing him. I remember him at. This had to be 1990, probably the 99-2000 season. I remember. Patty LaFontaine and Dominic Hasek were in Buffalo, and the Devils and the Sabres had, I think it was like 72 shots between the two teams, and it was a double shutout.
Wow.
It was like the most insane double shutout in NHL history. It was something crazy like that. Hasek and Marty both just were like, nobody's scoring. But Pat LaFontaine, every time he touched the puck against my Devils, I'm like, damn it, this guy's going to put it in the net.
He was magical, man. He was definitely magical.
And for such a small dude, that's who, Jack Hughes kind of reminds me of someone like a Pat LaFontaine. He's not a Marty St. Louis because he doesn't stay as healthy as Marty did.
Right.
St. Louis, for some reason, managed to be the tiniest dude on the ice and never get hurt. I don't get it. But both guys, I thoroughly enjoy watching. But so we got, what are the teams we've landed on? I think we need one more team that Marner could have put on that list. And I think we got to look to teams that, and this was actually brought up on, I forget who brought it up on one of the NHL shows. Begs the question of, should the salary cap be different for teams that play in states that have no state income tax? Should the salary cap be lower for them? Because effectively the salary cap is higher if you're in a state with no income tax.
That's never going to happen. I can't see it happening. It makes sense though. It makes sense, but they're never going to do that. I can't see it.
No, that's why teams like the Devils have a problem bringing players in. The Islanders have problems.
I got your team, Reckless. Buffalo Sabres.
No shot.
Why is that?
Because no one wants to play for Lindy Ruff anymore. I don't think. I mean, who else do they have up there? There's nothing up there in Buffalo in terms of what they got. And you really think Toronto is going to trade him like directly across the river?
Right across the bridge. Hey, go ahead, go play for them.
Yeah, you think they're just going to just put his equipment on a cart and just shove it down the bridge and let him go hang out, right across the river? No way.
Nah.
Detroit I like though. I like Detroit, I like Chicago.
That's a good thought. Detroit is a good thought. We didn't bring that one up.
Detroit's up and coming. They're going to have the money. Unfortunately, I think I don't know what Marner's next contract looks like. I'm kind of afraid to even speculate.
His year next year will dictate his next contract. They won't look.
He turns around. He turns around and scores 40 goals next year. You give him 12 a year? Like, he's young enough. He could still even get better than this.
He's got to get somewhere in the playoffs, so he can't do another first round exit. He's got to show up and do something.
He's only 27. He's only going to get, the next 2 years are going to be what decides the fate of the rest of his career. Um, beautiful bearded bastards. I love it. Um, the other thing I want to mention before I let you go here and attempt to figure out how to get Adam's video to play, unless you have to just share it. Zach Parise, what a career that guy has had. As Devils fans, we were a little bit pissed at him. The forgiveness has been laid across the entirety of the Devils fan base. Once we found out his dad, JP, was dying of cancer, and that's why he went home, we're like, all right, we can't really be mad at you, man. I think the Ilya Kovalchuk contract made him go to arbitration because he's like, you're going to pay him that much and you're going to try to pay me what? I'm the captain of this team. I've been here. I've done more. I've proven it more. I play both ends of the ice. Wish he would have gotten a cup. I called the Stars winning. That would have been one of those, Colorado wins it. I wouldn't have been terribly mad at the Avalanche winning the cup. At least not as mad as I was when Ray Bourque beat my Devils when we should have won back-to-back cups. But what a career that dude had.
He did.
He did. I think he had well over 1,000 NHL games played. I think he's upwards of 1,000 points. I think he ends up in the Hall of Fame at some point.
At some point.
And then you got Ryan Suter, who's still playing in Dallas. And I feel like those two are forever linked due to that summer in 2014.
Late, yeah. Might be a little bit later than that. Might be a little later than that.
It was the year of the cup run. It was 2012. It was July 1st, 2012.
Okay. I just remember all that shit, and those guys ended up with Minnesota, and I was surprised that they never won a cup up there because they brought Bill Guerin in to be the GM after.
I love Billy.
Yeah, he was
one of my favorite Devils of all time back in the day.
He was a GM in Pittsburgh, and he did a great job as assistant GM, I should say. And then they sent him to straighten out Wilkes-Barre Scranton, and he did a great job there. And he ended up going over to Minnesota, and he's still there. He's still there.
They've had success with him.
Yeah.
They haven't gotten that cup, which, in fairness, neither has Toronto, and Toronto's gone through 7 GMs at the time that Bill Guerin's been there, or Shanahan's still the GM. I know Lamoriello was there for a bit, but yeah, it's that was, I think, one of the big mistakes that Minnesota made.
Yeah.
Was you handcuffed yourself and gave these guys matching $10 million contracts at a time when the salary cap wasn't that high.
No, it wasn't anywhere near that back then. They could have gone away with $7 million each.
They both should have taken $6-7 million contracts each, because then you bring in guys that Minnesota state income tax is minuscule, if anything, either. It's a rural area. Like, you guys are both from there. If you're gonna go home, take the sweetheart deal, and go home the right way.
Yeah,
go home with the sweetheart deal. That said, that's an interesting one. Minnesota's got cap space. Trade him out of the conference. That works for Toronto. Yeah. I didn't think of that. You brought that up earlier, and I'm thinking, that makes sense. Trade him out of the conference. They have cap space. What are you going to get back from Minnesota is probably, a couple of, second, third round picks, and you might get a prospect out of it. You're not going to get anything.
At this point, he's got 1 year left. It's a
it's a rental. It's a rental.
Yeah.
You're bringing in a rental player at the end of the day. That makes a ton of sense.
Especially Parise leaving.
Well, Parise was has been in Colorado. He didn't sign with Colorado till the trade deadlines, the last possible day, because he wasn't sure he wanted to play another season.
No,
feel bad for the guy. His back, we're going to call him an older guy, but he's still in his 30s. He's not exactly an old guy. So wish him nothing but the best in retirement. Think we're going to see a couple other retirements over the summer this year. Not really sure exactly who's going to retire, but I have a hunch Jordan Stahl's going to be done.
It will be
I
time.
think
He doesn't look very good anymore.
He played great defensively, and he won a lot of big faceoffs for the first 2 rounds that he was in.
That's his forte, though. He's a defensive player.
Yeah, but he, at least in Pittsburgh, he was able to produce timely goals. When he first got to Carolina,
24 years old in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
And he got to Carolina, he was clutch. He was I think that's the one where we finally see Jordan hang him up. I think Eric hung him up last year. It would only make sense for Jordan to hang him up this year. Chase one last one. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Would Jordan get 2 with you guys in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
He's done everything he could. He went to Carolina to try to get his brother another one.
No, he got one. He got one with us because the third line center was it was the HBK line.
Shawn Michaels?
That's what the line was called.
Yeah, I know that's the
line. Yeah, it was Hagelin and Kessel, and I'm trying to think the guy.
Oh my God, I forgot Hagelin got traded to you guys. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember him on the Rangers. I hated that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, I forgot about that. Yeah, who was the center on that line?
He came back to Pittsburgh last year for the playoff push, and he got hurt right away, and he never did play a game with them. I don't think he might have played one. That's it.
That's crazy. That is crazy. That said, you got. I think me and you agree on this one. I got a cup finals of Stars Panthers, and I have the Panthers. Sorry guys, I know Peak One Sports mostly based out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm sorry for all you Stars fans, but I think you guys are going to have your heart broken in 6 games.
You think 6? I think it's going to go 7.
I honestly do not. I honestly think Matthew Tkachuk, he has just continued to get better as the playoffs go on. I'm terribly afraid of what he does in a cup final. Now that he's already experienced a cup final loss. The guy is, if I'm building an NHL roster today and I can take one player in the league, I'm taking Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, I'm
not taking Connor McDavid. I'm not taking Austin Matthews. I'm not taking Leon Draisaitl. I'm not taking guys that I'm going to have to double and triple pay. I'm taking Matthew Tkachuk, who understands that in order to win cups, and that's got to be on his dad too. His dad had to, the kid's obviously been raised right not to be greedy about money, but what matters more is winning to him. So if I'm taking any NHLer right now today to start my roster to build around, I'm starting with Matthew Tkachuk. I think you'd have a hard time finding somebody else. Maybe Igor Shesterkin, maybe what's his face down in Tampa. Jesus Crow, not Stamkos. Andrei Vasilevsky or the other forward in Tampa, the one who Nikita Kucherov.
Kucherov. Yep.
Yeah. No,
that's all for another show, Reckless. I got to teach you.
That is. Oh crap! That's right. You are a teacher, man. Thanks for joining me. I'm gonna let you run. I will pop you off the stage, and I'm gonna try to figure out how to upload. We got a video that I recorded last night with me and Adam while Adam hung out in his car. So, hey, Mark, where can everybody find you? Where's your podcast?
Okay, I'm the Original Sports Podcast with Mark Marner. You can find me on, we drop every Thursday, audio and video, but we shoot live on Tuesday nights. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. We're on X. We're everywhere now. And you can also watch us on Roku. We're on Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. We're on Roku on Tuesday nights from 9 to 10. So You can find us just about anywhere. This week's show is pretty cool. We did a Memorial Day show, and we talked about athletes who were military veterans that transitioned to be pro athletes or started out as a pro athlete and then ended up leaving, like a Pat Tillman type person, and going into the military to serve. So it was a really cool show. We went over.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it was a really
check
cool
that
show.
out. I have Roku. I'm actually that's what I was watching the hockey game on. But that said, I'm also a veteran. My buddy Dan from Peak One's a veteran. One of my favorite NFLers of all time. Played for. I see you got is that a Heinz Ward jersey back there?
That's actually Rocky Blyer jersey.
Okay. Alex Villanueva. Since you're bringing up veteran players, probably the best veteran player outside of Roger Staubach.
We talked about him on the show, and we talked about Roger Staubach. So I'll check it out, guys.
Yep. Find him on Roku. You can watch it on your TV, man. At least you said Elite Sports Network?
ESEN, Elite Sports and Entertainment Network.
Nice. Thank you, Mark, very much for joining us.
Anytime,
here on Shut the Puck Up. We will we'll have to have you back again soon.
Anytime, buddy. Anytime.
All right. Have a good night, man. All right, boys and girls, we have you puckers. I have to figure out how to get the video over to play, and if I can't, I'm just gonna post it right to the Peak One page, boys and girls. Hope you all had a good time. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for hopping in the comments. We'll see you guys next week. Adam will be back. We might be Wednesday next week. I'm not really sure. Adam's work schedule is kind of changing here and there. But love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out. And enjoy the rest of the hockey season since we got just a little bit left. Good night, boys and girls.